Between running the biggest manga of the generation and showcasing actual cognito hazards, Shonen Jump began publishing a new series by the author of Kuroko's Basketball, about a hitman who's de-aged into a teenager and goes to high school. This is what it's called, and I'm not sure whether or not the name will trip YouTube's no-no censor, so I'm just gonna take the coward's way out on this one because none of that matters whatsoever. I'm here to talk about one thing. Okay, so you know those characters that pop up in a story that exist purely to be assholes and create conflicts so the audience can pretend they're the guy that beat them up in high school and clap like seals when they get kicked in the nuts or whatever? This series has one of those in the second chapter who is perhaps the most bizarre implementation of this trope I've ever seen. Like, I could tell the author wanted me to be angry, but any anger I might have felt was smothered by the sheer confusion as to what the fuck I was reading. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with some context. So, our main character is getting help with his schoolwork from a classmate, and after becoming better acquainted, his new friend lets him in on an embarrassing secret. He wants to be a doctor, which of course he can't tell other people. What would they think of him if they found out he wasn't on that influencer grind? But turns out, jokes aside, his paranoia is completely justified in-universe by the real main character. This fucking guy, who was eavesdropping on their conversation and gets up in the middle of a busy restaurant to lecture this teenager about wanting to be a doctor and flex his expensive laptop. Though shockingly, he has the restraint not to mention Linux. So naturally, his friend claps back and the other diners agree and it's all very Reddit Wholesome 100. But what struck me is this line where he mentions the guy making fun of others based on secondhand opinions of a rando influencer, at which point I was convinced that this was in fact a real guy. Like, the author went to a restaurant and some tech bro kept trying to sell him on Kuroko no coin, so he depicted him as a soy jack in his new manga. Altogether, this man is already one of the most based individuals ever put to paper. And by based, I mean the old definition of completely incomprehensible and probably has weird opinions about women and minorities. But then he turns it up a notch by rolling up on his bicycle and trying to kick these children off a bridge. The mad lad. Anyway, that's all I got. Sorry for the brevity and relatively comprehensible editing on this one. I just didn't want to take multiple months between uploads again. And this dude had been living in my head rent-free for weeks, so I figured why not. Next one will be a proper video. See you then.